Hi, Miss Judy. May I know your occupation and the years you have been working?
My current occupation is a manager of quality assurance and internal audit. I am currently the head of department. I have been working for about five years and about 11 months.
Can you briefly tell us about your role in the company and your contribution to the company?
Basically, I'm in charge of the audit department, so I oversee all the audit function, specifically the internal audit functions in the company. In terms of the contribution, we are sort of like the guardian of the company, where we ensure all the processes are complied with, and also to ensure there is no inventory loss to the company as well.
Thank you. I will start off with the first question, which is, which leadership style did you use to lead the company to success? Do you emphasize the manager's authority by informing employees of the final decision, or do you prefer encouraging employees to have a discussion together, or leaving the work to employees, allowing them to think on their own with minimum interference?
Bear in mind, I do give them the openness to make sure that they come up to me if they have any issues, so leaving the door open for them as well. If there is a discussion or decision needed, I would regularly meet up with the team members and making sure that they understand the situation at hand, getting their feedback, making sure everyone's voice is heard as well.
So this could be identified as a characteristic of democratic leadership, as instead of only the manager is making the final decision, Ms. Judy gets feedback and listens to her team members' opinions, which matches the characteristic of democratic leadership, which requires team participation during the decision-making process.
I try not to interfere much as long as they know what they're doing. Basically, there's a lot of trust. Whatever they're doing on the ground, I don't usually micromanage.
In addition, Ms. Judy also combines a characteristic of laissez-faire leadership in her own leadership style. She trusts that her employees could complete their tasks well without being micromanaged. Hence, she doesn't interfere with their task completion process. Democratic leaders encourage employees to participate in the decision-making process by allowing them to share their opinions, emphasizing an open communication environment. It could increase employee motivation. Diverse opinions can increase the range of solutions. However, the drawbacks are that it may be time-consuming to consider everyone's opinions, and the final decision may be negatively affected if ideas are not well thought. Whereas laissez-faire leadership is more of a hand-off approach, which leaves the decision for employees to make, yet the leaders will still interfere if needed. This could promote personal growth, as they may need to solve problems encountered on their own. Yet, employees may feel lost and eventually make bad decisions. Leaders may also not take responsibility for mistakes made. What is the company's overall decision-making process? Are there any specific steps taken?
If it's related to the day-to-day processes of the department, usually I will be the one that will make the decision. But if there is a huge financial impact, for example, if we were to implement a new system, there is a financial cost involved, then I would need to escalate it to my director.
Okay. Do you approach problems in a rational and step-by-step process, or in a flexible and spontaneous way while making a decision?
If there's a problem, I would take a step-by-step process. So I would assess the problem at hand and decide what is the best solution to solve it. Once I decide what is the best solution to solve it, I will take into consideration what are the corrective actions that will need to be taken and what preventive actions would need to be put in place to prevent the problem from happening again.
Ms. Judy implements systematic thinking approach, which involves approaching problems in a rational, step-by-step, and analytical way when it comes to making decisions. She first analyzes the problem and then decides how to solve it in the best possible way, and also taking preventive measures from it happening again. Can you tell us about the structural design of your organization in terms of how certain activities are directed in order to achieve the goals of your organization, such as rules, roles, and information flows between levels within the company?
In my company, we are a retail mixed F&B environment. So there is definitely the operations. We will call it like the frontliners lah. So the operation, the marketing, food development team, and all that. There is also back-end supporting team that supports the front departments. So there is like IT, HR, internal audits, warehouse. So we are at the back. We are supporting those operations and the marketing team lah.
This is an overview of the structure of Miss Judy's organizational structure, which consists of the company's director being on the top of the structure and multiple managers managing a specific department. It's a functional structure which is divided into 6 departments based on areas of expertise. There is a clear top-down hierarchy, department heads that reports to directors, and employees who specialize in certain tasks. I'll move on to the next question, which is, during the pandemic, were there any issues and how did you manage your employees?
Not much issues. It's just that we needed to minimize the close contacts. We need to make sure that welfare are being taken care of. If there's any positive cases detected in the outlet, people are being quarantined, the outlets are being sanitized. We also had to do a little bit of hybrid, I would say. We will alternate between the groups. So some groups that are in office, then the other groups will alternate between office and and the store, so that not everyone is going back at the same time.
Okay. So comparing during and after the pandemic, were there any changes in your leadership style?
I would think probably a little bit different. During the pandemic, I see them a little bit less. So I had to connect with them via WhatsApp or via Zoom more regularly. Whereas after the pandemic, I guess I see them a little bit more face to face. So I tend to, we also do monthly or quarterly team meetings. So I get to meet them face to face a bit more, because sometimes during the pandemic, we do Zoom meetings, maybe internet connection not so good. So the engagement is a little bit lesser there, I would say lah.
During and after the pandemic, the leader follows a democratic style. In lockdown, she conducts online meetings with her team instead of making decisions alone. Even post-pandemic, she continues face-to-face meetings every month or quarterly, actively seeking opinions from her employees. This approach highlights her commitment to inclusive decision-making. So why did you make a change on your management style after the pandemic?
In our kind of environment, we still need to go down to the outlets, meet the auditors and engage more with them, because sometimes it's easier if I'm there and I get to see the problem at hand. After the pandemic, I get to go down to the ground and see what they're doing, and it's easier for me to connect with them.
Is there any advice that you want to share with us as a manager?
Definitely always be open to communicate, making sure that your employees are always happy to feedback to you in terms of the issues or any problems that they are facing on a day-to-day basis. Basically being approachable, I would say, because if you are not approachable, then they are not inclined to share with you what is going on, and you are always kept in the dark, and then one day they will feel demotivated and they may leave.
I do resonate with Miss Judy's democratic leadership style. I also value an open and transparent communication environment, as I believe that this is crucial in building trust between employees and managers. Being too strict and unapproachable could demotivate and increase labor turnover, as Miss Judy has mentioned before. Hence, by being attentive to their opinions could provide them a sense of being valued, and they will stay more loyal to the company. In addition, valuing diverse ideas could also contribute in a more effective decision-making. For example, employees could be more skilled than the manager in a specific area. Hence, by taking into consideration of their opinions, an effective decision could be made. Yet, I will combine Miss Judy's democratic leadership style with some autocratic leadership style when it's needed. For example, when there's an emergency, there isn't sufficient time to create meetings and gather opinions. A decision has to be made immediately. Hence, autocratic leadership could come in handy. The one significant lesson I have learned is that when it comes to leading employees, it doesn't have to be necessarily a top-down hierarchy when there's utterly no participation in decision-making, but only a strict and monotonous working environment. I've gained a deep insight into the importance of an inclusive working environment, how prioritizing employees' well-being could not only aid in promoting their personal growth, but also help the manager improve their decision-makings.